When I opened my eyes, I saw Jasmine's face before me. Everything was in silence. The sound of rain disappeared completely. Ridiculously, I could hear nothing. In front of me was the dense growth of trees, standing silent in serried ranks. And the circle of blue sky above, even the clouds were motionless. For a moment, I had no idea what had happened. Then I was held into her warm embrace. I looked up to find Jasmine's face. She tried so hard to smile, but she was on the verge of tears. Why? I had no idea then. I just let Jasmine hold me in this world of silence. A few days later, I realized I couldn't go back anymore. Was it 3 days? 4? In this world that wouldn't make any sense. Everything was still. Flowers would never wilt, leaves would never turn yellow. Even the clouds were as if they were painted onto the sky. Everything stood still, without a sound. I was so little I couldn't understand a thing. I just listened to Jasmine's word. In the tone of her voice, there had been a touch of sorrow. It took me a long moment to understand what this meant. Then I bursted into tears. Suddenly I realized that I would never see Mummy or Daddy, my big brother, or the others. Never again. I wasn't sure if I was more scared or sad. I cried and cried. Time escaped me. I cried myself asleep. In my dreams, there was my big brother. I heard the sound of Daddy shaving bamboo strips from outside the window, and Mummy held me in her arms. Her embrace had been so soft and warm, the most reassuring place in the world. It soothed me. There was nothing to be afraid of, no more tears. I got lost in the serene dreamland. How long had passed since then? I woke up, and there was a wide-brimmed straw hat. In a white dress, Jasmine looked down at me. The look in her eyes was warm. And then, I was not afraid anymore. I knew I was not alone. That, when our time began, the two of us, we had no one but each other.
因为只有我们2个人吧。
This is a strange place. No wind or rain intruded, no birds chirping, sun rising or setting. The sky remained motionless, like a dome. It silently kept us company. But it was by no means a humorless world. Though petite, the place had been brimming with an atmosphere of sweetness and purity. It belonged to her. Every day she would open up a thick book and read stories for me. Stories of Miss Duck, Aunt Goose, and the little geese. And the story of Mr. Rabbit. That story changed every time. Every time she read it, it had been different. Sometimes Mr. Rabbit would sleep late, other times he played pranks. He skipped and danced around to make you happy, and he appeared before a crying child to gently wipe her tears away. I had my own suspicions. How could one page hold so many different stories? Jasmine smiled and didn't answer my question. She just looked into the distance. There were times I enjoyed lying in Jasmine's lap, in the sweet scent of grass and wild flowers. I counted the clouds on the sky. Sometimes I would let her know. I'd envied her pretty straw hat. She told me I could try it on when I grew up. That was a long time to wait. Sometimes Jasmine would tell me things about this world. Words like time, lines, and bubbles. I couldn't quite understand all of them. She smiled and said it was fine. When Tangerine grew up, surely it would become as clear as day. She stroked my hair gently, like Mum always did. Jasmine had been a bit tired lately. She avoided going out, sleeping away days. She also forgot to read me stories. That was fine. I knew enough about how to read, and I could read stories to Jasmine instead. But Mummy had told me in the past, without a lot of exercise, children would not grow tall. Well, Jasmine was a big girl though. I guess that would be fine with her. Yet, it was more than mere weariness of the mind. It seemed that Jasmine was starting to lose control of her body. She became clumsy. At times, she fell over. The books could fall from her hand when she read. There were even a few times the pages went flying and she dropped it. Jasmine, was she feeling sick? When I asked her this, she just smiled and shook her head without a word. And then, one day, she brought it up, all of a sudden. Would I like to make paper planes? Of course, I'd wanted to learn all along, but I couldn't do it well. I ran to the house. I pushed a stack of old notebooks in front of Jasmine. Only they had words on them. They were crammed with handwriting. I got a slight headache from looking at them. Would it be better to get new paper? I had even prepared paper for this. What a pity it was lost. That was fine, Jasmine said, smiling. With words on it, the paper plane would become a letter. The message could go far, far away, riding on the winds. If that was the case, would Daddy and Mummy receive my letter? What about my big brother? Jasmine paused briefly. She did not shake her nod, nor did she nod.
小菊，会记得姐姐吗？
Tangerine, would you remember me? That without saying, I would never, ever forget about
橘
her.
子是善良
Nothing could
又努力
change
的好
that.
孩子呢。
Tangerine is a wonderful girl. I was happy and
所
embarrassed
以
at
呀
the same time.
姐姐的
with
帽
praise.
子送给橘子哦。
Hey. Really? Sure.
然后
I'd
呢，
wanted it.
每
I
当看到这帽子的
wasn't
时候，
confident that I was the
就
right
想起姐
person
姐
to
说的
have
话
it.。I didn't know what to say. I just stared at her. After a long wait, the papers with words on them all turned into creatures with wings and flew away into the distance. Jasmine made such beautiful paper planes. I was no match for her, so I just bent over and rested my chin on my hands. I watched the paper planes with white wings fly into the sky one after another. Riding on the wind, they could go to places far, far away. There was no wind here. Her white fingers deftly delivered the letters that had wings, leaving simple curves on the screen of the blue sky. And then they all fell soundlessly to the ground. With the paper planes landing one by one, the light in Jasmine's eyes was getting dim. I had not seen her look like that for a long time. Sorrow and loneliness. She'd said something I could not understand. At the time, the words were too deep for me. Time, or fate, or duty. Nevertheless, I was willing to try and understand them, if that would cheer her up. But in the end, all I could understand had been one sentence. Almost sobbing, she apologized. "Don't cry, don't cry." Imitating Mum, I held her shoulders gently and wiped away her tears. Whatever happened, Tangerine would be by Jasmine's side. All the sadness would go away. When the letter with wings reached where my big brother was, then the three of us could play together again. Right? When the time came, we would have a lot of fun together.
谢谢。
I chuckled. There was nothing to thank me for. Jasmine was my favourite girl in the whole world. There was no response from her. She was dissolving in my arms, becoming light as a feather, as if dissolving into a soft wind. She faded away. Without a sound, the last paper plane landed somewhere not far away. Tears rolled down my face at the same moment, but I did not weep for long. The paper planes on the ground, all the letters, the words, the messages. When I picked them up, I could still feel the warmth she left behind. From now on, I would have plenty of time. Tangerine would set out to understand it, little by little. And that would be the end of the chapter, I think. Maybe. That took the wind out of me again a little bit. So, I shall see you next time in the next video. Until then, goodbye.